Hello, my name is Lesley Atherton and this is my story, The Time That Was. 1:47 p.m. Wintry and fog-covered, the city's already dark streets sparkled with sparkling streetlights and teemed with impatient motor vehicles. And people. There were so many people. I hadn't been to this city before and found the streets perplexing, unnerving. The street signs, the traffic flow, and especially the pedestrians, each staring ahead and acknowledging nothing. 1:47 p.m. I've been on this street corner for precisely 1 hour. Early, as usual, as I'm scared of missing my contact. This time it's Hermione, pitiful and immediately forgettable, all mousy brown hair and large glasses. I wondered if she was perhaps one of the faces, stranger blank and mechanistically moving past me. I feared I wouldn't recognise that face in such a crowd. 1:49 p.m. 2 minutes passed, and with each second I felt more convinced that I was not alone. She was here. Someone was here anyway. Someone was watching me. 1:50 p.m. There she was, Hermione. Laconically waving from over the road, she was dressed unflatteringly in a long, dull grey anorak that completely dwarfed her. She was almost puppet-like. I waved and started to cross, then pulled myself back. Oh no, a puppet. Suddenly I knew. I didn't know how I knew, but I knew. I wasn't here to meet Hermione. She was the puppet. She was my bait. My wave was identification, and her role in the subterfuge was complete. I knew the puppet master only too well, but it took a few more seconds before I spotted him. Brandon Wilsby. My scalp tingled and my legs almost crumbled beneath me. Brandon Wilsby was Hermione's pimp. Of course, how could I have got things so wrong? How could I have missed something so obvious? Hermione was no more a tiny nondescript gentlewoman than I was a soldier of fortune. I was a low-budget private investigator, and she was Holly, one of Brandon's new girls. I recognised her now as I watched her transform. The anorak fell to the floor and was joined by the nondescript wig. She slipped out of her brogues, pulled off her long flowery skirt, and slipped on the high-heeled mules from her bag. A different girl. Brandon appeared next to her, smug in the knowledge that she'd led me into his trap. He smiled approvingly as she reached into the pocket of her second skirt, this time a shiny black mini, and expertly applied bright red lipstick. She smiled in reply, not at him, but at me, a victorious, slow and sarcastic smile, and she licked her lips just a little. She was both innocent and knowing, and for those characteristics, Brandon had chosen her well. She made a perfect Hermione. Hermione who'd pretended to be a poor little rich kid on the run with questions that needed urgent answers. Oh yes, Brandon would have known I'd have fallen for her story. But though she made a perfect Hermione, she was born to the role of Holly. Brandon chose very well indeed. He knew I would be confused and glued to every second of her uncostuming. He knew I'd be distracted and careless as reality dawned. He knew I wouldn't be prepared for him crossing the road to me. He was right. "Carrie, Carrie, Carrie," he whispered at my shoulder. "So glad you're not late. Knew you wouldn't be. You were always reliable." Shaking, I whispered his name. "Let's go," he ordered. And I did, because I knew that my past had finally caught up with me. It was unusual for one of Brandon's employees to give him the slip. It was even more unusual for the said employee to escape, to live a future life in disguise and fear. And now I had been found out. A photo on the front cover of the local paper. It was as simple as that. "Mayor's gratitude towards private investigator," it read. The photo had started a series of events that were as unstoppable as they were inevitable. I had known for days that this time would be coming, but I was surprised it had come so soon. Now I was confronting it. It was almost a relief not to run any more. I was back with Brandon. My body hunched, my head cast down, and my arms dragged by my sides as I followed Brandon and Holly back to his car. I wouldn't run this time. I couldn't run this time. I was back for good.